Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light this shit up. Yeah, I'ma make this shit hot. Oh, I'ma light this shit up.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls! Welcome back to What If Deku Had Hanma DNA Part 4 by yours truly, Harry Fox, YouTube. Anyway, I'm not going to drag it out, let's get straight into it. Last time we left off, Deku bodied Bakugo, but he also blessed it with him, they became friends. As Bakugo did something he's never done in his life, he apologised. But apologised with a smile on his face, saying that he's going to beat him up next time. Usual Bakugo stuff. But then Deku grabbed him, spun around and slammed him through a 10-story building. And then won the hero versus villain race, like when the students pretend to be villains. Anyway, now we're going to go back into that. We see the rest of the students do it. And then we finally get to the Todoroki one. And he places his hand on the wall. The wall gets covered in that orange ice. And when someone steps in it, they don't get frozen, their feet burns. So they immediately surrendered, and Todoroki removed the ice. But the way he did it was, he returned it the blue ice, and then melted it. This confused Deku. What is this kid's quirk? Anyway, afterwards Deku went to the office with All Might. And he sat him down. And he was like, okay, young Hanma, I'd like to inform you that that villain you met that day was the #1 villain in the world, all for one. And Deku says, yeah, I know. He's like, what? How? He's like, he told me. He was like, I'm going to be his greatest opponent one day. Hearing this, All Might is very confused. What did All for One seeing this kid to say that he's going to be his next biggest opponent? All Might's pride is a bit hurt. That's meant to be his job. But at the same time, it means that Izuku's guaranteed to be the one who should be the successor, one for all. And All Might explains the quirk to him. And Deku says, oh, no thank you. All Might is very confused. And Deku says, I don't want to take any shortcuts in training. I want to get as strong as I can be with my own training, my own power, my own strength. And All Might was very confused, but he respected it. And he said, but young Hanma, if you want to fight All for One, you're going to need this strength. It's the quirk made to fight against him. And Deku said, well, I'm pretty sure my quirk is strong enough. When he's hearing this, All Might becomes curious. He says, what is your quirk? He says, my quirk is called Hanma. All Might's very confused and says, what? He's like, yeah, they couldn't figure out a name, so they let me name it. It was similar to my father's quirk, you see. I could get stronger quicker when I train, my body adapts, I have enhanced strength, enhanced reaction time. All Might says, so it's similar to One for All then. This quirk would insanely boost your strength and the strength of your own quirk. Hearing this piques Deku's interest. And he says, what? Deku of course accepts it. And All Might says, your body's perfect enough, you should be able to use 50% already. And Deku takes it by blood this time. All Might drops a bit of blood on Deku's drink and he chugs it. And he's like, ugh. Deku starts gagging afterwards. But due to it being by blood, we all know it will happen immediately. Deku's body gets a surge of power running through it. The One for All lines rush through it and then fade. All Might says, okay then, let's go to the training field. He tells Deku exactly how to use it, but nothing happens. And Deku instead uses his own strength. All Might's very confused, and Deku says, oh well, and starts training. Deku immediately feels the effect. Although he doesn't now have One for All's insane super strength, the speed at which he gains strength from training, the way his body adapts, the way his body strengthens, it's insanely boosted. 10 times, no, 20 times, 100 times maybe? When hearing this, All Might says, so instead of you getting insane strength, it's just enhanced your quirk strength. See, interesting. It's not what I expected, but seeing how strong we were before, that should be amazing. Anyway, due to this, you're now my successor, and I'm gonna train you. Deku says, okay, I'll take your suggestions, but I'd want you to see the way I train first. All Might agrees. He's expecting probably something like 1,000 push-ups. When he sees how Deku trains, he gets a sick feeling in his stomach. How can this teenage boy train like that? If I train like that at his age, I would die. Does it not overwork his muscles? No, by the results, it's working. Deku goes on a 100 km run every day. 100,000 push-ups. Lifting up tons and tons and tons. The way he works up, putting his entire body at strains at once. If you've seen the way Baki works out, you already know how intense it is. Just imagine that, but way more. Seeing this, All Might can't really suggest anything. And he says, the only thing I can really suggest is ways to support or strengthen your quirk. Deku's interested, and he's like, okay, explain. It's like when people push their quirks to their limit, and then suddenly get a rush, or something they need to be, or sudden urge or need to be stronger. They get a quirk boost, it enhances the strength. Deku hearing this is very, very up to it. And by the way, yes, Deku's workouts get more intense every single day, just so you know. And that's what they do. First, they want to find out how strong Deku actually is. And when they find that out, no teasers. They think there's ways to push it to the extreme, and the only thing that All Might can think of is sparring with Deku. And that's what they do. Deku's always wanted to fight against All Might, someone that he's always viewed to be the strongest. ASMR. And so they begin. All Might keeps it at 20%, thinking that's all that really should be necessary. And he blitzes in front of Deku. To his surprise, when he throws a punch, Deku doesn't block. He catches the punch and knees All Might in the chin. Then he wraps around All Might's neck in a triangle choke and starts choking him. All Might's caught off guard by this. The pure strength of this boy. This is roughly about 40%. His quirk is powerful. He doesn't even think he hasn't been strengthened by one foot at all. That's when All Might says to himself, no, I can't be beaten by this boy. All Might pushes himself to 50% and swings around. This catches Deku off guard. He knew All Might was strong, but this just breaks everything he imagined. And he chucks Deku across the beach. That's where they are sparring, by the way. All the way across it, and Deku crashes into the wall. All Might panics thinking he went too far, but Deku shoots up. He's now in his real fight mode. He hasn't done anything to his joints yet. He sprints at All Might, making it to him in a flash of an eye, and lands right in front of him. And he swings his fist round, hitting All Might in the face. There was a loud bang that was heard from this, but All Might throws a punch back. Deku isn't going to pussy out. He takes these punches, takes it to the stomach. This keeps him catching All Might off guard. He thought he was going to block. But to his surprise, Deku isn't affected. He just throws another punch and a kick. And he just throwing combos and combos at All Might. All Might pushes himself to 60% and slaps Deku in the back, sending him flying again, straight up into the air. Deku somehow balances in the air and sends himself flying down. Deku tightens all his muscles at once and then looses them, creating a shockwave, sending himself flying down to the ground. He got this inspiration from All Might. He's now flying down like a speeding bullet with his punch ready. He dislocates some of the arms in his, some of the joints in his arms, and relocates them, so where this punch is going to do a lot of damage. Deku's arm now looks more like pickles. All Might sees his deformed arms and thinks he's broken it, but he ain't going to hold back now. If this kid still wants to fight, so will All Might. All Might amps himself up to 70%, and he chucks his fist down. They both collide, they both get sent flying backwards, and Deku hits his head on the wall, knocking him out. All Might feels his arm. It's clearly broken. This kid, he was able to overpower 70%. Maybe one for all. All for one was right. That's not something I ever meant to say. This kid truly will be his number one fight. This kid is, 15? Incredible. Deku wakes up, at the UA infirmary. Remember, this was the end of the day. And he wakes up and he's like, oh, I got beaten, didn't I? All Might says, no, it was a pure luck chance by me. I sent you flying and you hit your head. I think if you didn't hit your head, you would have had a chance of beating me. And he points at Deku's arm and says, about that. Deku's arms, all his joints are still all fucked. Yeah, I forgot I can swear. Deku's joints and arms are all fucked up still. And he says, oh, this is nothing. He easily moves his joints about, mesmerising All Might. This boy, he has perfect joint control, incredible. Deku's arm soon returns to normal, and he sees All Might's arm in the class and says, oh, did I do that? All Might, trying to hide the story, says, not entirely. After that fight, I didn't realise you was knocked out, and I still rushed directly at you. And when I saw you was unconscious, I punched the wall instead. Deku could sort of tell he was lying, but isn't going to hurt All Might's pride, and says, oh, okay. We now get, I'd just say, roughly about a week goes past. Deku still trains relentlessly, with All Might's suggestions and pushing his quirk to the limit. So whereas Deku would train, he trains differently when he's picked up something different. Shadowboxing. Deku's discovered another part of his quirk. When he focuses hard enough, he can create an enemy in front of him, and he can make the enemy as strong as he wants. So Deku's getting incredible combat training, meaning he pushes himself to the limit every single day, physically, mentally. And each day his opponent he's fighting getting stronger and stronger, as well with Deku. We now go to a week, and they get announced that they're going to go to a hero training course. And everyone is ecstatic, especially Kaminaru. Or should I call him Denki? I forgot his name. I'm just going to call him Kaminaru. No, Denki. Denki sounds better. And he goes, yes, we're going there. They have the best results. They have a fire course, an ice course, a water course, everything. Anything that suits your quirk. Deku hearing this is actually excited. He's going to get some real training done. So they finally arrive. And when they get in there, Kirishima, after getting explained by the Hero 13, Kirishima goes, wow, they even got such realistic looking villains. Hearing this sends Aizawa on guard, but Deku already was on guard. He sensed their presence. Aizawa sees Shigaraki, I forgot his name, the purple guy. He sees everyone there, except for like the League of Villains, of course. They're not there yet. And he yells, 13, keep the kids safe, I'll deal with this. Kurogiri, that's his name, says, I don't think so, and he teleports everyone to a different area. While Aizawa was left to fight. Deku gets to the water area. One sec, guys, I have a really sore throat. Oh. Deku gets sent to the water area with Froppy, Mineta, and they get surrounded by villains who say, come in the water kids, we don't bite. Hearing this, Mineta's panicking, saying, damn it. Deku says, oh, you don't bite. Saying nothing, he jumps off the boat, flying towards one of the villains and punches him hard in the face, knocking him out. He's now left in the water, and all the water villains are circling him, saying, you shouldn't have got in here, kid. Deku says, why, do you think I can't swim? Deku dives underneath the water, getting followed by all the villains, who are now in sheer shock. Deku using pure strength with swimming at insane speeds. Where the villains were circling him before, he's now circling them. And he spins around the water course at such speeds, he's creating a whirlpool. This pulls all the villains in, but while Deku's spinning around, he's punching them. And Mineta's throwing his balls in the water. He doesn't think this is actually making it a bit difficult for Deku. But when he gets a ball in him, he tries ripping it off. He finds that he can't. Mineta says, sorry, Hanma. Oh, I'm just going to say Izuku. Sorry, Izuku. Them balls are impossible to take off when they're put on. Deku says, impossible. Nothing's impossible. He rips off the ball, and he rips his skin off with it, and everyone goes, ugh, but Deku's skin heals over. Mineta yells, sorry, I didn't think. Deku says it's fine. And he swims to the bottom, and gets to the bottom, places his feet on the floor, and jumps upwards at insane force, creating a sort of tidal wave in the watercourse. He lands on the boat, grabbing Froppy and Mineta, and jumps off. All the water villains have been knocked out now. He now lands and can look around. Everyone's handling the villains quite decently. He's proud of his classmates. I didn't say it, but they've been getting along quite decently. But then he looks over. He sees Aizawa struggling with some of the villains. And then he sees it. A massive beastly creature with like a bird face that snuck up on Aizawa basically and punched him hard in the chest. Deku could see that Aizawa had a broken rib. He didn't know how he knew, but he knew. If you read the manga, you know where Deku got this from. It's like he could see what was wrong with Aizawa, his illness, his weakness. but he shook the thought out of his head and rushed over to the Nomi who was about to deck Zawa in the face. Deku comes in with a flying kick, sending the Nomi flying off. This catches Shigaraki off guard. They haven't been informed about a kid like this, a kid strong enough to send a Nomi flying. But something about him reminds Shigaraki of his master. And he goes, so you're the kid Master was talking about. He thinks you're so great, and he told me I can't hurt you. But to hell with that. I'm going to tear you to shreds and show him who's superior. Shigaraki rushes at Deku, preparing to decay him, but Deku moves out the way, grabbing Shigaraki's arm and snaps it. Shigaraki screams in prayer and says, You bust! How dare you touch hands on me! This isn't fair! This isn't fair! Hearing these words pissed Deku off. This isn't fair, you're a bloody kid. You come to attack people and you get attacked back. What you thought was in a stand here defenseless. You're a bloody child, a man child. You're just a little pussy, bruv. Hearing this pisses Shigaraki off and he grabs Deku's arms. Deku winces in pain as his arm turns to dust. But he slaps Shigaraki around the face like a bitch and he keeps on doing it and doing it and doing it. Shigaraki's face is all swollen and bloodied and he finally lets go of his arm. Shigaraki laughs and says, even with that arm you won't be able to use it. Shigaraki is just in pure shock when he sees Deku's healing factor kick in. The more Deku gets injured, the faster he heals. And he sees the decayed bit of his arm heal over. And he laughs and says, what were you saying? And he stamps on Shigaraki's face. Deku's getting ready to kill Shigaraki until the Nomi appears behind him, a lot quicker than Deku expected. Deku blocks, just to feel his arms break when he gets punched. That punch was stronger than almost 70%. What was that? Of course the broken arms heal on Deku, and he stands up. Everyone else in pure fear. Deku with a smile on his face and says, finally, a real fight. A real villain fight where they'll try to kill me and I can kill them. Deku rushes up the Nomu. You can easily see that his brain is his weak spot, but he ain't gonna attack that. He runs and jumps and kicks. The Nomi blocks it, and Deku's impressed. Shigaraki, who's barely conscious, says, time to tell you, that Nomi's strength exceeds All Might. He has shock absorption and a healing factor greater than anything you can imagine. He's unbeatable. Deku says, no one here is unbeatable except for me. And the Nomi grabs onto his leg and attempts to crush it. Deku takes a deep breath, pulling his arm to the side, and says, You have shock absorption, huh? I wonder how much shock you can absorb. With an open palm, he sends it flying into the Nomi's chest. There's a literal shockwave that comes out from the back of the Nomi, and the Nomi starts shaking. He drops Deku, and he starts shaking profusely, as some weird black blood pours out of his mouth, and its eyes. He drops to its knees, but it quickly fades and comes back. Deku jumps back saying, if that was any normal person, all their internal organs would be destroyed. I see, that's how great your healing factor is. Shigaraki, seeing this, was impressed. That was a normal person, no matter who it was, even if potentially his master. They would have died. But he says, Nomu, kill that brat, he's too big of a risk. I don't care what master says. The Nomu, hearing that his direct orders, his body seems to get a bit bigger as his muscles grow. Deku sees that this is a combat mode and he rushes at Deku. Deku barely manages to dodge and he wraps onto the neck Nomi's arms and he spins with it. It tears the arm off. Just for it to heal straight back away. Heal back on straight back away. Wait, you know what I meant. And he spins with the Nomi's arms, slapping it around the face. As he thought, the Nomi's own skin negates its shock absorption, but it doesn't really matter, it can heal quicker than it needs to. Deku chucks the arm away. He's gonna fight with his own strength. He rushes at the Nomu, punching it in the stomach, with a force greater than its shock can absorb, just like All Might did. But it doesn't matter, the healing factor ensues. The clash that we see happen between All Might and the Nomu happens. By the way, Ida's really rushed to get All Might and he's on the way. Everyone watches in sheer awe. They've all beat their villains by now, and they're just watching Deku throw hands. As Awa was actually still down a bit. He's taken his chance to recover. He has faith in this kid that when he needs to step in, Awa will. And they're throwing blow after blow after blow after blow. And yeah, the combo ensues. Deku's getting pushed back slightly, but he ain't having this. He starts pushing back more and more and more. That's when Shigaraki plays dirty. Barely even able to walk, he appears behind Deku with the biggest rock he could find and slaps Deku around the head. Deku feels his consciousness get fuzzy. I don't think so. His eyes snap open. A weird pattern in his back appears. Shigaraki mutters, Demon? Deku spins round with a kick, hitting Shigaraki directly in the chest, fracturing many ribs, sending him flying backwards. Now with his demon back activated, Deku spins around, starts throwing punches. This time he's pushing Nanomi back. More. He's like, damn it, this is a fight where I think it's fair. Everyone can see it partly. Black lightning appears on Deku's fists. The quirk that his dad sort of gave to him, I guess. And now his punches are doing like 4 times more damage and actually burning Nanomi, sending shocks through its body. Again. Without anyone seeing, Deku loses an explosion in his arm, barely, sending his fist with just enough damage, hitting Nanomi directly in the stomach. He follows through with this punch, taking a deep breath. He says, Hanma style, overwhelming force. All the joints that he has around his body get sent directly into his arm. The rest of his body is numb. But this gives his punch about 100 times more strength. Nanomi gets sent flying upwards, and all the joints get sent back around Deku's body instantly. The Nanomi is now flying down towards the ground, still somewhat conscious. And Deku gets ready. He puts his hand to his side. He opens up his hands. And he yells. He says in his head, time to show him what you're made of, Deku. Or Izuku. He digs his hand straight into Nanomi's brain as it yelps. And with all his strength, his muscle size seems to be growing. He rips Nanomi directly in half just as All Might shows up. Deku stands there with the black blood pouring on him. It seeps into his skin. Something's changing inside him. Something's growing stronger. And he smiles, dropping to the floor unconscious. Other than that, guys, hope you did enjoy. If you did, share with your friends, family, like and subscribe. And yeah, what can I say? Peace out, guys. Bye.